welcome back to Teka tutorial. Today, we are stepping into the pages of modern history to examine one of the most tragic, yet profoundly educational chapters of the African continent, the 1994 Rwandan Genocide. In a period of just 100 days, nearly 1 million lives were lost. But to truly understand how this catastrophe happened, we must look beyond 1994. We must travel back in time to understand how this nation was formed, who its people were, and how dangerous political manipulation can become. Listen closely, look at the text, and let us begin this historical journey. Part 1. The founding of Rwanda and its people. Screen. Show historical maps of East Africa and the Kingdom of Rwanda. Let us begin with the birth of the nation. The Kingdom of Rwanda was founded centuries ago, around the 15th century, by a traditional monarchy. For hundreds of years, Rwanda was a highly organized and powerful centralized kingdom in the Great Lakes region of Africa. But who lived in Rwanda at that time? Originally, the population was made up of three main groups who shared the exact same language, called Kinyarwanda, the same culture, the same traditions, and lived on the same hills. These groups were the Tutsis, who were traditionally cattle owners and made up about 14% of the population, the Hutus, who were primarily farmers and formed the vast majority, about 85% of the population, the Twa, who were a small minority of forest dwellers, making up less than 1% of the population. Before European colonization, the division between Hutu and Tutsi was not based on race or biological differences. It was mostly an economic and social class system. In fact, if a Hutu became wealthy and owned many cattle, they could pass into the Tutsi class. They lived in harmony under a Tutsi king or Mwami, and saw themselves as one people, Rwandans. Part 2. The root causes colonial manipulation. The turning point in Rwanda's history came in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, during the scramble for Africa. First, Germany colonized Rwanda in 1894 after World War I. The League of Nations handed control of Rwanda over to Belgium. It was the Belgian colonial rulers who planted the toxic seeds of division, guided by racist pseudo-scientific theories of that era. The Belgians believed that the Tutsis, who often had taller statures and finer facial features, were racially superior to the Hutus. In 1935, the Belgian government introduced a devastating weapon. Identity cards. Every Rwandan was forced to carry a card that permanently labeled them as either Tutsi, Hutu, or Twa. Social mobility was destroyed. The Belgians gave the Tutsis access to elite education, high government jobs, and political power, while the Hutu majority was marginalized and subjected to forced labor. This created deep-seated anger, resentment, and a psychological divide that lasted for decades. Part 3. The road to explosion. As the decades passed, the Hutu majority grew tired of the oppression. In 1959, the Hutus revolted against the Tutsi monarchy in what is known as the Social Revolution. Fearing the angry majority, hundreds of thousands of Tutsis fled the country into neighboring nations, like Uganda and Burundi, becoming refugees. When Rwanda gained independence from Belgium in 1962, the Hutu majority took political control. The new government reversed the system, discriminating heavily against the Tutsis who remained inside Rwanda. By the late 1980s, Tutsi refugees in Uganda formed a rebel army, called the Rwandan Patriotic Front RPF, led by Paul Kagame. In 1990, the RPF invaded Rwanda from the north, sparking a civil war. To counter this threat, the Hutu-led government of President Juvenal Habyarimana began using powerful propaganda. They used radio stations, like the infamous RTLM, to brainwash the civilian population, referring to Tutsis as cockroaches and warning that if the RPF won, the Hutus would be enslaved again. Part 4. The Trigger and the 100 Days of Horror. The ultimate trigger occurred on the evening of April 6, 1994. A plane carrying Rwandan President Habyarimana was shot down as it prepared to land in the capital city, Kigali. Everyone on board was killed within hours before any investigation could take place. Hutu extremists blamed the Tutsi RPF rebels for the assassination. The genocide began that very night. The government, along with a radicalized Hutu youth militia known as the Interahamwe, which means those who stand or fight together, launched a systematic campaign of mass murder. Roadblocks were set up across the entire country, armed with machetes, clubs, and firearms. Neighbors turned against neighbors, and husbands turned against wives. Radio stations broadcasted the names and addresses of Tutsis, telling the killers to clear the tall trees. The international community, including the United Nations, turned a blind eye and withdrew their peacekeepers, leaving Rwanda to bleed alone. Part 5, The Aftermath and Casualties 11/00/1230. Screen, text showing the numbers. 800,000 to 1 million lives lost. Voiceover. The genocide finally ended in July 1994, when Paul Kagame's RPF army successfully captured Kigali and defeated the extremist government forces. The scale of the destruction was unimaginable. In just 100 days, between 800,000 and 1 million people were systematically murdered. This meant nearly 10,000 people were killed every single day, making it the most efficient mass slaughter of the 20th century. The vast majority of the victims were Tutsis, but politically moderate. Hutus who refused to participate in the killings were also slaughtered. Millions of refugees fled into neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, destabilizing the entire region for years to come. Video Outro 12/30/1330. Screen, moving images of modern Kigali, Rwanda, showing unity and growth. Voiceover. Today, Rwanda has risen from the ashes. Under a policy of national unity, the identity cards have been banned. Rwandans no longer identify as Hutu or Tutsi. They are simply Rwandans. The country has transformed into one of the safest, cleanest, and most technologically advanced nations in Africa. The story of Rwanda teaches us a vital lecture, that ethnic divisions are not natural. They are manufactured by leaders who use fear and hate to maintain power. Thank you for watching this professional history lecture on Teka tutorial. If this video gave you a deeper understanding of our continent's history while practicing your English listening, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Peace to Rwanda and peace